Scary true stories are loved by many people, but many of them believe them to be fake. I have one of these scary true stories that will make yourself question everything around you. But some of us know better. We've seen things, heard things, felt the icy breath of the unknown. We know these scary true stories exist, and these are not just a story. This is a true story, a story of terror, a story of a house, a family, and something else, something that shouldn't exist. Let's delve into these scary true stories that will send shivers down your spine, something that lurks in the shadows, something that waits. This is not a tale for the faint of heart. This is a tale for those who dare to believe, for those who understand that the world is not always as it seems. There are places where the veil between our world and the next is thin, places where the dead linger, places where the past refuses to die. This house was one of those places. It was a place where the air crackled with unseen energy, a place where the shadows danced with a life of their own, a place where fear was not just an emotion, but a presence. This story is not for entertainment. It's a warning, a testament to the darkness that lurks just beyond our perception, a darkness that can touch us, chill us, and leave us forever changed. Are you brave enough to continue? Are you strong enough to face the truth? If so, read on, but be warned, once you enter this house, you may never truly leave. The house was built in 1889, a grand Victorian mansion full of ornate details and shadowed corners. It was home to a wealthy family, the Carmichaels. They lived a life of privilege, their laughter echoing through the halls, but tragedy struck. The Carmichael patriarch died suddenly. Whispers of foul play circulated. His wife, driven mad with grief, followed soon after. The house stood empty for years, its grandeur faded, replaced by an air of melancholy. Dust gathered in the high-ceilinged rooms. Cobwebs draped the chandeliers. The garden, once vibrant, became overgrown and wild. The house became a whisper in the town's history, a place people avoided, a place where sorrow lingered. Years passed. New owners came and went, each drawn to the house's faded beauty, each driven away by something they couldn't explain. There were stories of strange noises in the night, stories of cold spots and the feeling of being watched, stories of shadowy figures glimpsed in the windows, stories dismissed as imagination, as the tricks of the wind. But the stories persisted. They grew with each retelling. They became part of the house's fabric, woven into the very walls. The house was more than just a building. It was a repository of memories, of emotions, of something more, something that refused to rest, something that was waiting. The Harringtons were the latest family to move into the old Carmichael house. They were young, optimistic. They dismissed the stories as local folklore. They saw the potential in the house, the chance to restore it to its former glory. They didn't believe in ghosts, not at first. The first sign was a chill, a sudden drop in temperature localized to one room. Then came the sounds, footsteps creaking on the stairs when no one was there, a door slamming shut in the dead of night, music box melodies drifting from the attic. The Harringtons tried to rationalize it. Old houses settle, they told themselves. Drafts caused doors to slam. Their explanations were hollow, unconvincing. Then came the sightings. A fleeting glimpse of a woman in white at the top of the stairs. A shadow darting across the hallway. A face peering in from the darkness outside a window. These were not tricks of the light. They were too vivid, too real. The Harringtons were no longer so sure of their disbelief. Fear began to creep in like a cold mist. Their young daughter Lily was the most affected. She began to have nightmares. She spoke of a man in the shadows watching her. She refused to sleep alone. Her laughter, once so infectious, was replaced by a nervous silence. The house was changing her. It was as if something was feeding on her innocence, on her joy. Night in the Carmichael house was a different beast altogether. As the sun dipped below the horizon, shadows lengthened and the air grew thick with anticipation. The house seemed to hold its breath, waiting. The Harringtons felt it too. A knot of dread in their stomachs, a prickling sensation on their skin. They were not alone. The sounds intensified at night. The footsteps became heavier, more deliberate. The whispers turned into murmurs, then into voices. Sometimes they heard their names called, echoing through the empty halls. Sleep became a battleground, haunted by vivid nightmares. Nightmares filled with shadowy figures and cold, grasping hands. Lily's nightmares worsened. She would wake up screaming, her eyes wide with terror. She spoke of a man with sad eyes who stood at the foot of her bed. He didn't speak, she said, but she could feel his sadness, his anger. The Harringtons tried to comfort her, but their words felt empty, powerless against the unseen terror that plagued their daughter. One night, during a particularly violent storm, the lights flickered and died. The house was plunged into darkness. Then, they heard it, a low moan emanating from the attic. It was a sound of pure despair, of unspeakable suffering. It seemed to seep into their bones, chilling them to the core. The Harringtons huddled together in the darkness, paralyzed by fear, waiting for the dawn. Section 5. The mirror's reflection, a glimpse into the abyss. The house had many mirrors, long gilded mirrors that adorned the hallways, ornate oval mirrors above the fireplaces, small vanity mirrors in the bedrooms. They were a part of the house's Victorian elegance. They were also windows into something else. The Harringtons began to notice something strange about the mirrors. Their reflections were not quite right. Sometimes their faces seemed distorted, twisted into expressions of fear and anguish. Other times they saw fleeting glimpses of other figures in the reflection standing behind them, figures that were not there when they turned around. One evening, Mrs. Harrington was brushing her hair in front of her vanity mirror. She glanced up, and her blood ran cold. Standing behind her in the reflection was the man from Lily's nightmares. He was tall and gaunt, with hollow eyes and a mournful expression. His clothes were tattered and stained. He stared at her, his gaze filled with an unspeakable sadness. She spun around, but there was no one there. Trembling, she stumbled back from the mirror, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew then that this was not her imagination. This was something real, something malevolent. The house was showing her its true face, and it was terrifying. Section 6. The unsettling silence, a night of terror. The air crackled with a strange energy. The silence was heavy, suffocating. The Harringtons knew something was coming, something bad. They huddled together in the living room, each trying to mask their fear for the sake of the others. But their eyes betrayed them, darting nervously around the room, searching for the unseen threat. A cold wind swept through the house, slamming doors shut and rattling the windows in their frames. The temperature plummeted and the air grew thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. Lily whimpered, burying her face in her mother's lap. The Harringtons held each other tight, their bodies trembling with fear. Then, the silence was shattered. A blood-curdling scream echoed through the house. It was Lily. The Harringtons rushed to her bedroom, their hearts pounding in their chests. They found her sitting up in bed, her eyes wide with terror, pointing at the closet. "He's in there!" she screamed. "The man in the shadows!" Mr. Harrington, his face pale but resolute, slowly opened the closet door. It was empty, but the air inside was frigid, and the stench of decay was overpowering. He could feel something watching him from the darkness, something cold and malevolent. He slammed the door shut, his hand trembling. He knew with chilling certainty that they were not alone in the house. Section 7. The climax. Face to face with fear. The entity made itself known. No more fleeting shadows or whispered voices. It was there, in the flesh, the man from the mirror, standing in the hallway, bathed in the pale moonlight that streamed through the window. His eyes, hollow and black, burned with a cold fire. Lily screamed, clung to her mother. Mr. Harrington stood frozen, faced with the impossible. The man's lips moved. A voice, dry as dust, rasped out, "This is my house." He took a step forward, another. The Harringtons backed away, fear a living thing in their throats. "Leave," the man hissed. His breath, a chill wind, washed over them. Lily sobbed. Mrs. Harrington choked back a scream. Mr. Harrington found his voice, a whisper, We didn't know." The man's face contorted in a rictus of rage. The house groaned. The temperature plummeted, the air crackled with energy. The man, eyes blazing, raised a hand. A wave of cold washed over them. Lily screamed, then silence. The man was gone, vanished, the hallway empty. Section 8. The aftermath, living with the echoes. The Harringtons didn't stay long after that, packed their belongings, fled, left behind the house on the hill. The memories lingered, the fear, a constant companion. They tried to forget, tried to move on, but the house had a hold on them. Lily never fully recovered, haunted by nightmares. The man in the shadows, a recurring figure in her dreams. She refused to talk about it. The trauma, etched deep, the Harringtons forever changed. They knew now that some things cannot be explained. The house stood empty again, a monument to fear, a testament to the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of our world. The stories continued, whispered in hushed tones, passed down from generation to generation. The Carmichael house, haunted, forever marked by the unseen. The Harringtons never went back. The experience scarred them, changed their perception of the world. They knew now that the line between the living and the dead is thin. Section 9, Conclusion, a haunting reality. The Carmichael house still stands, a silent sentinel against the setting sun, a reminder that some places hold more than just memories. They hold secrets, they hold pain, they hold the echoes of lives lived and lost, they hold the spirits of those who refuse to let go. This story is a cautionary tale, a reminder that we are not alone in this world. There are things we cannot see, things we cannot understand, things that lurk in the shadows waiting for their moment to step into the light, things that can touch us, chill us, and leave us forever changed. Do you believe in ghosts now? Have you ever felt the icy breath of the unknown on your neck? Have you ever heard your name whispered in the darkness? If so, you know that this story is not just a story, it's a reflection of a reality that many choose to ignore, a reality that is as old as time itself. The next time you find yourself in an old house, listen closely. Pay attention to the shadows. Feel the temperature of the air. You never know what might be lurking just beyond your perception. You never know what secrets the house might be hiding. You never know when you might come face to face with the unseen. Section 10, a call to share. Your ghostly encounters. We all have stories. Stories of strange occurrences, of unexplained phenomena, stories that send shivers down our spines and make us question everything we thought we knew. Stories that we hesitate to share for fear of being dismissed or ridiculed. But these stories are important. They remind us that the world is a mysterious and wondrous place, full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. Have you ever had a ghostly encounter? Have you ever felt the presence of something unseen? Have you ever witnessed something that defied explanation? If so, share your story in the comments below. Let us know that we are not alone in our experiences. Let us explore the shadowy corners of our world together. Your story could be the key to unlocking a deeper understanding of the paranormal. It could be the missing piece of the puzzle that helps us make sense of the unknown. Don't be afraid to share your truth. Let your voice be heard. Let us journey into the realm of the supernatural together and discover the secrets that lie hidden in the shadows. Remember, the world is a stranger place than we can imagine. And sometimes the most terrifying stories are the ones that are true.